Guys, we got invited to SEMA to do burnouts, and this is a lifelong dream of mine.
Burnouts at a huge pit with Westen, Champlin, and the Horse Power Rodeo. It's gonna be a pretty big fun time. We got a lot to do.
Now, my burnout rig is the junker drag.
Classic.
That's what I've done burnout. That's the first vehicle I won a trophy in for burnout, and so it has to go to SEMA. But that is the ugliest truck in the fleet by far.
You can't take that thing as is. I mean, our crowd knows it, but it's not gonna be well received at SEMA. And the only truck I have that I think is worthy of that is my tow truck, Ruby, right here. But it's not pretty. I need to doll this thing up. If I'm taking something to SEMA, it's not gonna be SEMA quality build because I'm going to burnouts. It's gotta look good. So we're gonna make this thing look good. You're gonna transform the junker, make that thing actually worthy of SEMA. Got a crap ton of work to do. We better get started.
All right, so to get the junker ready for SEMA, we need to do some upgrades. This thing has been neglected.
We had to start it last night. We had to take about a gallon of water out of the tank. It's so neglected, but it runs. It's a 12 valve, it works. It has sat in a very large puddle.
But it drove for about 10 feet and then it shut off. Anyway, that doesn't matter for this video. We're about to put this thing under the knife. And so we thought that we should put a wrap on this truck, make it a little bit nicer for SEMA, just so that Power Driven doesn't look so white trash. You know, we've come a little ways.
I'm actually 100% against this. I feel like it's the junker. Like, it needs to look like a piece of junk.
So we're thinking of doing a wrap, and it's like these bedsides are so hammered, we should get new bedsides for it. And that snowballed into, man, I always wanted to make the junker a short bed so it would hook up better and have a chance of pulling wheels at the track. And that's how I got Meyer interested slightly in the project.
I was very against it. And he said short bed swap, and I was like, actually.
So for SEMA, our goal is shorten it with some bed sides, which means we've got to chop the frame. The Aggressor 480 is not awesome at 5,000 RPM, so we're going to put an Aggressor 98 on there. Because the best way to make the junker more reliable is to add more power.
Exactly, and you need power for a good burnout. And that GT55 will help open up the exhaust, drop boost, which will help keep the engine cooler, as well as drop boost down so we have less heat in the intake, heat in the intercooler, keep boots alive. Because you're trying to do a burnout for a minute long. I melted off engine enamel off my intake horn. Like, it's very hard on things. So anything we can do to help sustain a 1 minute long burnout would be a good idea. 52-52. It is the golden ratio. That is the number to make horsepower, actually.
52, 50. What was the front and rear bias with that now?
58.3. So yeah, close. So 58, 42.
All right, let's see how much weight we cut out of this pig. And the weight percentage is what's most important. We're trying to make this thing do wheelies, and you want more. Right now we have 42% on the rear. An ideal race car is more like 50% on the rear if you're trying to do wheelies, you know, maybe 45% on the rear. No prep cars, they have more weight on the rear than the front, so we'll see what we get. Back here I got to remove. I have some ballast. I've got to cut the bed in a couple sections, so I'm going to work on getting the bed ready to remove in pieces because there's a roll cage going through it, so it's not coming out whole. Yeah, dude, weight savings.
Right there at the back of the truck where you want it gone.
I'll probably save this tailgate. That's a good souvenir for the wall. Ta-da! All right, guys, we got the driver's side of the bed off. Now we got to continue to cut through so that we can get the front portion of the passenger side free. Remember, the roll cage bars came down through it, and so there was no way to get the bed out of there without cutting it off of there because I'm not redoing the roll cage, so some more cutting. All right, guys, now that we have the front part of the bed off, we can take the rest of the bed off like a traditional pickup bed. So 3 or 4 more bolts, and then we will be able to lift it off with a couple guys, 2x4s, forklift, cherry picker. We'll figure out a way, but the rest of it's pretty straightforward, just like swapping a normal bed off of a truck. See, look at this. I made a hole in the cab here with the Sawzall. I made a hole in the cab here at the cutoff wheel. So ugly. Luckily it's a junker and we don't care. It's not heavy at all. It's crazy. We don't need no forklift. Big fan of that. Look at your cracked welds. Where? Right here.
It's not
so
for
much,
me. So much torque.
So much torque, you cracked the welds leaving the line. Look. I mean, we could have gotten rid of that wiring, but at the same time, like, that's launch sauce right there. Look at this. Money. This wasn't even hooked up. Last person worked on this didn't put those back into the bed. Those anchors. So that drive shaft loop's just floating.
They look like they're good, so that's all that matters. Crazy. Dude, we can do a one piece. What? That's a real upgrade right there. We're gonna one piece drive shaft swap your second gen.
So then line on the floor.
Put jack stand right here and put jack stand in the front. That way it's square, it's staying. And all we do is just cut this and bring it in and re-weld it. And then we can use jacks or something. Another jack stand under here, just so it's the same height theoretically.
Or because the junker, we don't care as long as we do an even cut on both sides and the welds are within 1/8 of an inch. It's as square as it needs to be for me.
You don't want it to.
It's not gonna be all twisted.
I guess it's already twisted.
See, I had to extend this shackle. See, this leaf is way tall because the truck never sat level because the frame's all twisted. So I had to extend this shackle to make the rear end sit. Like, see this welded garbage patch here? And that was to make the truck sit flat. In fact, I had a hole cut in the bed for the leaf spring had to come up so far. In the back there is probably how I would try to square it up if one's got to kink out a little bit more. But knowing the frame's crooked, this is how I design stuff while I'm eating crappy Taco Bell.
How the legends do it. Down or up, so we need to go down in the back or up in the front. It's like not even moving.
No, not even a little bit. Alright, so I've welded the frame halves back together. The frame is kind of dirty and this is old steel and I'm not an expert welder, so I don't trust just a simple weld bead at the two joints. So I want to plate it so that I have more room to get more weld across that joint. So I'm going to take this little piece of 1/8 inch strapping. A lot of guys do really heavy fish plates, and if it's like a street truck that you're going to go, you know, haul a bunch of weight and drive 100,000 miles, maybe more heavy duty, but honestly as a race truck, this is probably enough. So this is just kind of my extra insurance. So I'm basically gonna cut 4-inch pieces of this. I'm gonna put one across the top right here where it's high stress and put about a 4-inch plate here that I can weld on. And then I'm gonna do another one down here on the side near the bottom. Just 'cause it's a lot easier for me to weld on the side than upside down. All right, so back half is complete. It's welded. There are some booger welds, I'm not gonna lie. But in
Most of them
WTF,
look pretty good. Normally, if we had done it right, we would have left the bed mount and then a bed would have just gone right on top. But we are doing bedsides, so we do have to hang those. So there's a little bit more that needs to be done. We have to shorten some lines. We have to.
let's be honest, there's more work left to do than it looks.
But we
it looks
feel
complete.
accomplished. Yeah. It's actually like, it looks good. I think this is awesome. Like, it kind of pulled a wheel in Arizona when you were launching it super hard.
With a long bed, and so we're hoping it'll be able to do wheelies now.
Dude, if it could, like, I feel like this project isn't done until it does wheelies. So here we got the Aggressor 480-96. This is the turbo that's been on the junker basically from the year ago or so that we actually built the junker, got it going. It's got hundreds of dyno pulls, dozens of drag race passes, and I don't even know how many burnouts. But this is what we're going to, this right here. So this is an Aggressor 98. I mean, that's a huge jump in turbo, and these things work so great. I'm really curious to see how well it works with a HE351 based manifold charger on this 12 valve. This is a true 5.9, it's not a 6.1 stroker, so we've really wanted to know how this is gonna work, so I'm very excited for that. But I mean, you can just come in and look at the size difference here. It is freaking gnarly. So we've got the journal bearing 480. You can see, like, it spins, but not super. Then we got the ball bearing. Oh, it's so much fun. This thing's gonna rip. This is the same turbo that Todd has on Ruby, 1500 horsepower tow truck, and it's the same turbo I have on the Shorty, which is my like 1500 horsepower daily. They are a blast and they run super clean because they got so much air. Now the trick with that is putting a small manifold charger on so you still get that good response. I'm really curious to see how this works on a 5.9 truck. So that's what we're gonna find out. Fit well because all the piping was. Will Terry would send that, no question. I don't know how. We just have to loosen it. Dude, if it was just a little longer, like if someone was feeling lazy, they could just weld another barb to this. Hashtag yes, sir. Look at this, like it fits. That's fitting. Yeah, we can make a new one. Pretty easy. And an air filter, boom. Obviously it's the wrong filter. You go to up to a 6-inch because we're big balling. But that's gonna fit. So because I'm lazy, I decided to saw this off like a hoonigan. I have a lot to machine off, but basically I'm reusing this old flange. I'm gonna machine it out. It's a 3-inch. I'm gonna machine it to 3.5 so that I can run 3.5-inch interstage. Does it make any difference? No, but I want to do it. So that's what's happening here.
All right, today's goal for the junker is we're gonna mount some bedsides on it. So you can see, got my lovely assistant, the great Meyer Stomp. Let's be honest, he's the mastermind behind half of this truck.
No, I do not take ownership of any of what's happened back here. I've done some stuff in the front. This is not me.
Anyway, so we're gonna get some bedsides. The problem is aftermarket bedsides are expensive, fiberglass ones, so I just got some sheet metal ones. They're a little bit heavier, but honestly, at the end of the day,
they're much more rigid and they don't just flop around in the wind. And if you guys have watched the channel, you've seen Todd's truck, the Cummins cart, going down the track, and they're just flopping around. That's kind of the fiberglass bedside problem. So by using
And you
steel
save,
bedside,
what, 5 pounds,
10
maybe?
pounds.
Maybe 10
Yep.
pounds. One, steel bedsides are cheaper, and these are skins that like an auto body shop would do for rust repair. They would cut the skin off a bed and do this. We're just gonna mount the skin as if it's a bedside. Then we gotta add some braces, but
Yep.
it's cheap. It's easy because it's metal, so I can MIG weld it.
and if let's just say you dyno and hit 205 miles an hour and your tire blows up, you can just go on, buy another bedside and bolt right up.
So to do this, we've got this janky ladder set up with a tube. I cut the pipe down so I can hang the bedsides close so we can kind of work on some bracing. The front here, I found this 2x4 in the shop. I spaced it up with a 1-inch piece of tube that I found. It's just about perfect to hang a bedside, so check it out. Everybody's gonna wanna know the part number. You better get in tight on that part number, upside down. Oh man. Like a CHL made in Taiwan. All right, this is the driver's side one. You can tell by the fuel filler hole. Just like that. Now, on a normal truck bed, there's a space between the bedside and the bed. When we shortened this, we shortened it an extra inch roughly so that we could mount the bedsides right on the cab. Now the cab is still floats a little bit, and this is gonna be rigidly to the bed, so it's not, you could say, quite right, but it's just right for the junker. Rigid mounted bedsides and a floating cab. So then my first order of business, since we're gonna bolt this bedside to the cab, this is kind of flimsy. I'm gonna add a piece of steel up here and weld it in. So I have a little bit of a gusset up here that I can then bolt through in the cab just at the top. Normally when you're climbing in and out of enclosed trailers, it's very common to put some weight on the top of the bed there. And I've seen lots of bedsides damaged. And so I'm hoping this little piece of steel will make it just a little more rigid, where there's a chance sometime in the future, I'm gonna step on it, getting in and out of the truck, forgetting that you can't put weight on these bedsides, and hopefully it saves it. I don't know if that makes sense, but right here, we're just gonna weld this. All right, so we got our little metal tabs welded in there. I just wanted more strength there. So now I'm gonna put a hole through the tab where it's easy to get a bolt on it. And then I'm gonna hold the bedside where it goes and mark the cab so I know where to drill a hole in the cab. And then I'm gonna put what's called a riv nut in there. It's basically just a nut that you can rivet in there. And then I have a place to attach the bedside right to the cab. And I'm not a body guy, so the lines aren't gonna be perfect, but you try to kind of line up the bed so it doesn't look ugly, because there's body lines coming down the door, trying to line that up. So here's my first shot. Dude, you welded that in?
Real nice.
This one's ugly because I didn't get the paint strip. It's all good.
I won't be that guy, but when I did mine, I used the laser level. So that's an option too.
Just getting the body lines kind of close. We're gonna call it good.
2 holes is what a hole patch is like.
Painted it because I was gonna do that, and I realized it's gonna be kind of seam for me.
There you go.
So then, riv nuts.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna drill a hole right here. This is threaded, but it's a rivet also. So I don't know if it's gonna be enough to hold this bed long term, but if it's not, I will weld a patch there and fix it. It's all about visualization. You just gotta visualize the win, or make it look good from, 20 feet away. What is the Vice Grip Garage? We're not trying to win any car shows. We're just trying to make it where guy comes out of bingo and is like, oh, that's a nice truck. All right, guys, so we are 3.5, 4 hours in, and I've done 2 things. I've got this back support welded on here, and I've got it up onto I put a bracket on there so I can put a couple bolts through the bedside, because this is a burnout truck and a drag truck. When you do burnout contests, sometimes fenders get destroyed, and since we're making the truck look nice, I want to be able to replace the fenders in the future without a ton of cutting and fabbing. So I'm trying to make this bedside bolt on so that I can unbolt it in the event it gets torn up when a tire explodes. So basically 3.5 hours, all I have is one little brace and one little bolt in the front. However, it's lined up straight, which is the hardest part. So I think the rest is gonna go pretty fast, fingers crossed. So our thought is, if we put this heavy piece of tubing back here, which is fine because this is a drag race truck and we want weight in the back, put this heavy piece of tubing and bolt it to the fender, we can support this whole back, and then one tube can come up from here to here, and then I don't have anything in the way of my leaf spring, and then this is going to be rigid enough, hopefully with a good weld, that it'll keep it from chattering and doing weird crap. I'm happy. You guys ever see me with my hat off? This is what I look like, half bald, fat white American. Now I'm a less bald, fat white American. Now I'm Will Terry again. All right, so the back of the bedside is officially mounted. We've got one heavy piece of tubing welded here, and then we added a little brace down here. What we did is took this round tubing, drilled a hole in it, and put a thread cert in there so I could bolt it through on that drip rail seam on the bottom, and then I welded this solid. Then if this gets torn up in a burnout and this doesn't get too mangled, I can just unbolt the fender, or the fender will rip off in a burnout, and I can put a whole new fender on without having to redo some of my work. So the idea is making it serviceable with a couple ugly bolt heads, but you know, it's fine. All right, guys. We're trying to work on a strategy to keep the junker cool during long burnouts. So I have a snow water methanol injection kit. What these are is they're little water sprayer nozzles that spray out like a mist. I'm fabricating some little tabs that I can bolt on the front of the truck here to hold this spray nozzle so that I can spray the front of the intercooler and the radiator with water. And I'm not going to put methanol in there, it's just going to be straight water, but that's just one more strategy I'm working on. I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, every gallon of water is something like 9,000 BTUs to turn it into steam. So if we can get a gallon across the radiator, that's another 9,000 BTUs. That's like well over 1,000 horsepower worth of cooling just from boiling a gallon of water. So between that, we'll see what happens. I can't weld these on here, which is easier because you got to have the ability to remove the intercooler someday to work on the truck. So I'm just making them bolt on some existing holes, and fingers crossed it's going to cool the truck off. We also added water injection actually into the boost stream. So after the big turbo, we've added a spray nozzle to spray water interstage. We found on the dyno that we pick up a little bit of horsepower spraying water interstage. It helps densify and compress the air coming out of the big turbo, so that when you have a small turbo, kind of like this, disproportionately small, it's really struggling to swallow all the air from this big turbo. And anything you can do to intercool it or cool it before it gets in there seems to pick up horsepower. So we're kind of getting a double whammy with the water injection. Since I'm already going to spray it on the front, we might as well add a kit interstage, see if we can pick up some horsepower. Then when this isn't in drag race mode, we will disable the front sprayers and only spray intercooled if it shows power gains on the dyno like I think it will. Worst case scenario though, every time we sprayed water into the intake track, it does lower EGTs and helps the engine to overheat slower. And so if anything, we're hoping that a little water there just gives us that extra 10 seconds of burnout before all hell breaks loose. While we're under the hood, the guys back in our paint shop decided to powder coat all the piping on the junker and the valve covers so that this beautiful Aggressor 98 wouldn't look so out of place on this ugly engine bay. So we've gussied it up a little bit. We've got powder coated pipes. We Cerakoted the hot pipe and the Aggressor 6267 turbine housing. And then Todd, of all people, was like, Will, you need a hood stack to fit this GT55. Your 480 hood stack won't fit. So Todd fabricated this beautiful stainless hood stack for me, complete with cross bolts, so it's all ready for drag racing. Guys, it's almost too nice for the junker. Freaking stack dimes, back purge stainless. It's beautiful. It fits perfect right through the hole in the hood. So we've got an ugly hole in the hood with a beautiful hood stack coming out of it. Just that perfect contrast of ugly and beautiful the junker's known for. Before we tore the junker apart, I did a little test burnout and it was pushing a lot of oil. And so it needed more crankcase breather. So I've added a second breather under here that we've painted. So now I just need to add a little hose. And since this is going to be on the burnout pad, I'm just going to run that down to the ground. For drag racing, we have to run it in a catch can. You can't put oil on the track. But on a burnout pad, they don't freaking care. So We're going to put a second hose on there, double the crankcase breathing, and hopefully between that, the water mods, the big turbo, hopefully this thing will be just on point, ready to do minute-long burnouts with no issues. Fingers crossed. Still a factory rod engine, factory piston with 14mm socket cap bolts. You can't expect too much. The other part of the water injection system is we need an actual water tank. So this is an old school snow water methanol tank. This is a 7-gallon tank, and I teed it so that I could run 2 water pumps. So these are the 300 PSI, they call them a UHO pump, but you know, it's old school stuff from like 8 years ago. But then I had to fabricate some brackets to hold this tank. And then the final thing, because this is a burnout truck, there's hot rubber that will be on fire most likely back here. So I had to build a little mud flap dust shield out of steel right here to stop the tire rubble from burning up the water tank and burning up these electric pumps. So it's a little bit of weight, but it's in the right place. I used to run a little over 100 pounds of ballast in the back corner of the truck here. So this is like 7 gallons, 8 pounds a gallon, so you're talking 56 pounds of water, and then each of these pumps weighs, you know, 4 or 5 pounds. So we've probably added between that and steel almost 100 pounds in this corner, which is good ballast for drag racing, and it fit there. The other thing we did off camera that I can show you right now is Meyer put a handbrake in here for me. So this is only hooked up to the rear brakes. I have not ran the lines yet, but we've got this mounted, so I have this sweet handbrake that I can yank to skid the rear end when I'm doing burnouts. And then I've got a little shut-off valve here that I can shut off the brake flow to the rear. So I've got to route the rear brakes up through here, through the handbrake and back. Yeah, should be freaking sweet. Have the ability to cut off the brakes to make the burnouts better, but also give them the ability to have like a drift brake so I can skid it. We'll see how it works. All right, the only words that can describe the junker is wha-bam! Check out the wrap. We went with a flat black with this bright red. Now my wrap guy said, hey, don't do a bright metallic wrap. It will show every dent on this ugly truck. So we went with the flat black, but we wanted the red to pop. We didn't have a lot of time to design, so I kind of stole the design off of the Cummins cart and just kind of made it junker-esque. But you come around here, you got the nice little rumblebee stripe here, the power driven, looks sweet. Let's come around the front. Front, my favorite part. Guys, I have always loved racing stripes on like Dodge Vipers, like a 96 GTS Coupe Dodge Viper, that intense blue pearl paint with the white bright stripes. I actually wanted to do that on this, but we thought blue would look ugly on the junker. So we got our racing stripes, our Ram racing stripes. Check this out. Dude, this turned out so good. We put a grill on it. I actually had to add a hood latch because I've never had a hood latch. So, but the junker is back. It's looking minty. And then of course we have to have the name on the truck. So over here, we've got just this little subtle little cue here, the junker. I think it came out great. I mean, it's got these ugly mirrors. Everybody's telling me to take them off, but you know what? I like mirrors on race trucks so I can back out of trailers and stuff, see what I'm doing. So I'm all about the mirrors. The mirrors are probably gonna stay, and they're probably gonna stay ugly chrome, because they're gonna have a little bit of junk on the junker. This thing should be ready to rip and destroy at SEMA. So fingers crossed, it's gonna put on a show.
Guys, we are here. We are at SEMA at this massive burnout.
The biggest burnout pit at Vegas. We're here showing up for the diesel class. I don't see many other diesels. It's like us holding up the torch.
Yeah,
here.
we got 2 diesels versus all these gas cars. And I see a lot of damage. These cars are hitting walls. I don't think I'm gonna win because I'm not willing to hit walls or bust tires. My truck's too nice.
Every car here has blown up rear tires, so yeah. I guess during the day they're gonna fix their tires and get ready for another rip. So,
man, these guys are crazy. But I'm gonna have a lot of fun today. Lay a lot of rubber on this huge pit. Yeah, I think I have the biggest burnout vehicle here. I'm excited about that.
And I have the second heaviest burnout vehicle here.
So anyway, it's gonna be a fun day. Let's get started.
Are you guys ready for a Horse Power Rodeo?
neutral drop works really, really
Kyle needs to know, can you fix it?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I think we can, yeah.
You think you...
We have boots. I just gotta figure out what boot blew off. What popped?
You can still drive, right?
Guys, give it up for Todd from Power Driven. How was that? I've done some burnouts in my day. I think that is the best piece of burnout I've ever seen in my life.
All right, guys, we're going to have
And a tea kettle.
2 on 3. I need you to give me your best cheer. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty good, Todd. That's pretty good. We're going to get you towed out. We got a gas car coming up.
Dude, that was crazy. I can't believe that thing ripped that hard. How much power did this thing make last time you had it on? 1510. And the torque?
About 2,500.
Oh, damn. Well, we'll start back up, you think?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll push.
Maybe a half hour.
We'll give it 30 minutes, let it cool down. All right, first, but we'll get some people out there to help push them off. Hey, some of you guys that's around there, standing there, you want to come help push this 1,500 horsepower truck off the bed?
Oh yeah, there's multiple holes. Look back there, it blew apart back there. 5 or 6 holes back there. All right, guys, Ruby is here, coated in rubber. I spent 2 weeks getting this thing all beautiful and wrapping, and I knew it was gonna be a mess, but it really is. So much rubber under here, but it's all worth it because I got one of these. Sweet big trophy. Look at this bad boy. 3rd place, which I'm particularly excited about because I didn't even know what the rules were. I just went out there and floored it, made a lot of smoke, spun some roadies, had a lot of fun, and honestly guys, it was a lot more fun than I anticipated. This thing was a blast. This whole day was insane. So much burning out, so much crazy stunts. It was amazing. I can see myself doing burnouts in the future more often than I have. It's a lot of fun. Honestly, it's a blast. Overall, guys, the truck did really well. Burnouts were awesome, high gear, tons of smoke. We did lose the high pressure intercooler boot. It's not surprising after all the heat of that long run. I mean, I have a brace on this thing and everything and it still came off. It's just so much heat. That's kind of the message of the day. So much heat. There was fire. There was every car overheated. This thing overheated bad. I don't know if I lost a head gasket. I think it might be hydrolocked right now because it won't turn over. We'll kind of move the crank, but it won't turn over. So I kind of think we may have hydrolocked this thing. Yeah, so we'll get back to shop and I'll figure it out. But overall, super fun, incredibly fun. I had a fun couple weeks getting this thing put together for this show. Yeah, take it home and take it apart again. Such is life.
All right, guys. So the junker epically failed, but it has never, ever not loaded itself onto the trailer. And it just did. Even though it's down 2 turbos and did a horrible burnout, and I'm very embarrassed for this truck because such a proven track record of good burnouts, we're good. We had to bypass the oil because it looked like it shot the compressor wheel and turbine wheel out the hot pipe and had a huge oil leak. So a full dash 4 feed going in the turbo, blacking out the exhaust, and then coming out the big turbo. So we looped the line, capped it off, drove itself on the trailer. Didn't even have to add oil, it's only 3 quarts low. And one final thing. Everybody says that you gotta lighten everything on a race truck. I just want you to know there's some modern conveniences that every race truck needs. I've never won a burnout. Oh, I did win that one big burnout trophy. We're even, we've had the same number of burnout trophies now. All right, so we're back from SEMA. So I went there, I went out and did my very first burnout, revved it up to 5,000, dropped it right into 3rd gear, and the truck took it and spun the tires for about half a second, and then boom. And so, obviously, mud on my face, very embarrassed, because the super reliable junker that I'd just done a whole bunch of work to had just gone down to SEMA and in front of everybody just popped. And I was like, what the heck happened? So we, lifted the hood and the snap ring had popped out of the turbo. We had the turbo system apart to do some upgrades, some powder coating and stuff. I don't know if we didn't get the snap ring in all the way or if the violent nature of the way I was launching or the new aggressor put a little more boost in the cover. I don't have a data log or anything on this, so I don't really know. All I know is it popped the cover off the turbo and hurt the compressor wheel. And so I got a 0-second long burnout at SEMA. And so we rapidly got in here, figured out the cover had popped off the turbo. I had a spare turbo, so I was like, shoot, let's just swap in a spare turbo right here in the pits really quick. We had to take the turbo off. Well, there's a bunch of custom stuff on this turbo to make it work in this compound setup. And so I'm like, man, I don't want to just change the whole compressor cover and everything. I'm just going to drop in the CHRA, which is the center section. So just the compressor wheel, turbine wheel, and center section. I'm going to leave the exhaust housing bolted up so all the exhaust sides together. I'm going to leave the compressor side mostly bolted up, and I'm just going to drop this in. And so I'm like, yeah, this is a great idea. So I take apart this spare turbo I brought, drop in the center section on this as quick as possible, put it together. So I go out there, do this exhibition burnout, and I decided to not hit it so hard and drop it into gear hard. I was like, I'm just going to do like a rolling burnout. I get out there, rolling burnout, barely grab 2nd gear, and boom. It pops again. Rolling white smoke, oil's coming everywhere. I come back and find out turbo that I had dropped in there really quick was a 67, not a 62. So I dropped in too small of a compressor wheel in the cover, which means it didn't hit and rub, but it also had really loose clearance, which would make it spool poorly. When it popped, it shoved the turbine wheel out the hot pipe and made a hole. And now there's no shaft, so you got oil feed going into a turbo with no shaft and bearings there. And so it filled the whole hot pipe with oil. And I think I lost 4 quarts of oil in about 10 seconds.
I think it's an engine.
Oh yeah, there's multiple holes. Look back there, it blew apart back there.
I mean, I didn't even hurt the tires. You come look at the back tires, they're basically full tread still. I mean, how embarrassing is that? You go to SEMA to do burnout contests, and all you have is a little bit of rubber on your fenders, and you have full tread, you have full tread depth. I mean, like the Junker is known for burnouts. A self-proclaimed burnout king, and I failed.
All right, guys, it's a couple days after the SEMA burnout contest. I'm dirty because I'm back working on Ruby, and this is the results. You know, if you're gonna do burnouts in your tow truck, realize some crap's gonna happen. It was super fun. I learned a lot, and I kind of want to make a burnout rig. Now I kind of know more what's needed, and it's a hard problem to solve. The amount of heat you build when you're doing a burnout is unlike anything I've ever done. Burnout, subpulling, nothing's even close to the destruction I saw in the pits. The opportunity to do burnouts at SEMA, kind of like, I don't know if it's a bucket list item, but it should be. I'm gonna go do burnouts at SEMA, the biggest auto show on earth. And it's a huge pit, big crowd, all car people there, so it's super, super fun. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to SEMA. Anyway, it was a wild event. I ended up being third place. Look at my sweet trophy here. So I ended up third place in my first burnout competition, so I was pretty happy about that. And really, I don't think it was driver skill because honestly, I didn't have much control out there. I just got the wheel speed so high, it just did what it's gonna do. Like, oh, I guess we're doing a donut. I guess they're spinning around. I do a donut, get it straight, and do another donut. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to steer away from the wall. I had like so little skill compared to everybody else out there. But because I had the big power, smoke was huge. And smoke is part of the scoring, and I had more smoke than anybody. And so I got a good score, and I got third place. And I was surprised at how easy this thing would do donuts. Not just a spin, like I'd be going straight, do a full 360 and keep going. It was crazy. And this big old huge truck just spin straight up all the way around, keep going. And it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I have to be honest, the burnout pit, I kind of thought for a while, you know, I want to feel the acceleration, which I do. The sled pull, I want to feel like I'm pulling something, which I do. But a burnout is also very fun. And it is definitely an engineering challenge because I would not do it in your tow truck. I mean, I did it in my tow truck one time, not twice. Overall, it was a super fun event. Going down there was cool. Horse Power Rodeo, Westen, the guys, big thanks to them. They put on an amazing show, way bigger than I thought it was gonna be, so it was really, really cool. And again, all the guys that were there are so fun. Overall, guys, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm a bigger fan of burnouts than I was. Burnouts have always been cool, but they're super cool if you have a big pit, you can spin around. So very fun. Overall, great event, glad I went, and yeah, super fun. So make sure you like and subscribe, share this video, comment below, and tune in next time because you're gonna see the Junker on the dyno. I'm gonna do an engine build for Ruby, show you what went wrong in the first place, and yeah, a lot more to come. Thanks guys, see you next time.